Everyone, it's Patty. I'm going to show you how to make this really sweet card for a little baby girl. You could make different colors and use it for a boy. It says a great big welcome for a sweet little someone. I don't have anything on the inside. I'm going to write a personal note. This is for um, my daughter-in-law, actually. Hopefully she doesn't see this. And for this card, I'm using the Little Wild stamp set. So this stamp set is pretty cool. I'll just show you. I have the stamp mounted. So it stamps the front and the back, and then there's these dies or framelits that cut around it. So it gives it, and I made an example. So this is the lion, and when you cut him out, it's a front and a back. So he cuts out like this. You fold him in half. It even gives you a little area for string to use it as a tag. So isn't that cute? So I really like it. I'm not using the framelits on this card. I'm just using kind of half of the stamp. So I'll show you how I did that. And then I also used this new dynamic textured impressions embossing folder. So this is a ruffle folder, and I thought it was really pretty. I'm using the Wisteria Wonder color, and it's really a deep impression. I've seen some people spray their cardstock with a little bit of water to get even a deeper impression, but I was happy with the way it came out, so I didn't do that. So we're going to do a little bit of embossing, a little bit of cutting, and a little bit of coloring too. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is stamp my image because I want to let it dry. I'm using the archival ink, the black archival ink, and I just want to make sure that it dries before I do any coloring. So let me just do that. I thought I had my paper. Here it is. So, and the way I did this was I just covered the one side that I didn't want to have ink on it, and I'm getting all inky here, with a post-it note so that it wouldn't, pick up that image. So I just put this over. The key to this is once you ink it up, you have to take that off. Otherwise, you'll be inking up your cardstock, and I'll show you what I mean. You don't want this on your cardstock. So we rip that off, and I would actually throw it right away, and it looks like it actually went through a little bit. So let me just wipe that off. Okay, and then we're going to just stamp it on. So there you go. And then I'm using also from the stamp set the sentiment, a great big welcome for a sweet little someone. So I have that mounted, and I'm just going to put that right below. I'm going to let that sit for a minute. I'm going to close this up, and then we'll do our embossing and die cutting. Let me put this away. Got all kinds of ink on my fingers here. So let me get my Big Shot, and we're going to cut out, we're going to emboss this, and we're going to cut out this layer that goes behind the white. And let me just pull that over. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll do the embossing. So we're going to use this, and the way this folder works is you don't put a plate underneath it. So I'm going to my tab 1, and this is for the embossing folders, and I'm not putting a plate underneath it. And you can go this way or this way. I chose to go this way. I wanted the ruffles to kind of go up and down this way on the card, and I'm just going to kind of line it up, make sure it's even, and close it. I always like to go through this way on the fold, and then we will put one plate on top. So that should give us a good good impression. So I like to go through and then through again. sorry about the shaking. So we'll take this out. And I kind of was looking at it, and both sides are very similar. They're just kind of upside down. So you can pick the side that you like best. So we're going to put that aside. And I have a piece of this Wisteria Wonder cardstock, and we're going to cut using the layering ovals. Sorry, I have everything piled around. So this is the layering ovals, and we're going to cut using the biggest one. So we'll just put that down. Let me see if I can fit it over here. I'll put it down below just to be sure. So, and actually we need to fold this up. So this should be the full base. So let me put this down and get the other plate, and we'll run this through. And this I only run through once. These, if it's not intricate, it runs through pretty easily. So that's that piece. Let's put that aside. And then I'm using the second biggest of the layering ovals to cut out the actual elephant image. So we're going to lay this over, line it up. You could put, and I hope this is in, you could put some post-it note here, or you can use the magnetic, but I think this is lined up well enough. And we'll just go through with this. And again, I only cut this through once. I'll take this off. And we'll put this over on the side. So we have our pieces. We have our elephant. We have the background. This is the thick Whisper White cardstock, and it's a top folding. So it's the same size when you fold it and you have the card. It's the A2, but it's just cut lengthwise instead of widthwise, I guess. So this is the 8.5 by 11 cut in half this way. So it's scored at 5.5, and it is 4 1/4 this way. So it's just, you know, some of them open this way, some of them are top folding. So we're gonna put this down, and I'm going to use the multi-purpose liquid glue to put this down because there's so much texture to it, the ruffles. I just want to make sure it adheres really good. Let's see if we can get some glue out here. So I'm going to go all around to get the edges, and then I'm going to kind of try to get it to hit the high points so that it really sticks well. So we'll just lay this down. And this piece is my standard layer, which is 4 by 5 1/4. So 4 across by 5 1/4 down. And we'll just lay this down. We're going to do some coloring of the elephant. I didn't want to get too crazy, so what I'm using is the watercolor pencils, and this has the basic gray, which is what I'm using. And I just went very, very lightly, a very light touch. And I'm going to use the blender pens to blend it in and get rid of those lines. I just thought I wanted to add a little bit of color to him, but I didn't want to have him dark. I wanted it to be just a kind of a sweet card. So I'm not going crazy about, you know, going all the way to the edge and filling it all in. Let me just put my glue back. And then we have these blender pens. You get 3 of them in a pack, and they're really great. It's just like a wet, just make sure that you don't have any color on it by wiping it on your pad, and you just kind of move the pencil around. So those are watercolor pencils, so they move around with the wet. And you don't want to go too hard because you don't want to get any piling on the cardstock. I think if you used watercolor cardstock or watercolor paper, you would be able to do it a little bit harder. But I think this is just very, very light, very sweet, and just adds a little bit of color to it. So I think that's good. The other thing I wanted to do was I wanted to offset the colors of this, so I sponged the edges of this in the Wisteria Wonder. I didn't have a darker purple, so I thought this was a good alternative. So all I'm doing is opening up the ink pad, dipping a sponge in, and just kind of going around the edges. The inside will be covered by the elephant layer. So I think just the edges, just to make it, you know, pop off a little bit, to show a little dimension there. So that should be good. That's an easy little thing to do. And then we're going to adhere this down. And then we will pop it up on we're using some dimensionals, and we're done. So let me just use my snail to adhere this. I probably overdo it on the snail sometimes, but just try to lay it down a little bit, center it. And then we'll get some dimensionals and put them down. I'll put one on each side and one in the middle. I don't like to have a saggy middle there. And that's it. Pretty quick card. I thought it was pretty. I thought about putting, you know, some, I don't know, some ribbon on it, or some of the sparkling dots, or sequins or something like that. And I kind of played around with that, but I didn't think it really needed it. You know, it has the ruffle background. I think it's just a very sweet card. So there we are. We have the two cards, and I think they're really cute. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a good day. Bye.